Hello, hello, hello. It's Lily Enrique here, parenting strategist from the Parent Support Network, coming in with you today to share with you episode 11 of Parent Support Network TV. So today we are going to be talking about the difference between gaining cooperation and control. And for those of you who have heard any of our family story in the past, you will know that before we knew what we now know, that we were indeed attempting to control our son into conforming to behave the way that we wanted him to behave. And once again, if you've heard our story, you will know that when things were at the toughest of times for our family, where our son was totally revolting against our family, our authority, our leadership, our parenting, where things were very strained and stressed. We were totally parenting upside down, having no idea that by trying to control him, that we were actually pushing him away rather than gaining cooperation. And you may have heard our story about where we actually met our amazing parenting mentor, Frank. We call him our angel Frank. And he actually taught us how to really think about the words that we use and actually what words mean. So I'm actually going to just read a little bit from my Revolting Child book, which was actually written after we mentored with Frank. And we'd been mentoring with him for probably, I don't know, maybe like getting on for a year. And we got amazing, great results. And the original video that we saw of his was how to handle the revolting child. And it's a beautiful story about how we connected with him. But he's taught us a lot about language. And I just want to read you this little bit about slavery. So he said, slavery is asking or making someone to do something without saying please. It's expecting obedience. And he says, and a slave only has one purpose in life, and that's to just destroy the master. And I love that one. So we can get a child to do something by saying, go do the dishes, clean up your room, eat your dinner. And if you think about it, what about if you spoke like that to your spouse or to a friend or to a guest in your home? I'm pretty sure that the dishes would not get done. Yet when we speak to a child that way, we expect the dishes to be done because we see ourselves as the authority. But keep in mind that even if you give your way now, that payback time will come sometime down the track. So we've learned through definition how a revolting child is created. And Frank actually said this to us, which was quite hard to hear at the time. If you have a revolting child in your home, you are the cause. And ouch, that does hurt, right? So I went on to talk about, how sad I felt about all the times we tried to get Caleb to do something while his resistance was going on. So what we should have been trying to do was not to get control of him. So control, as defined by Frank, is to cause emotion by force. And I think I wrote in this book as well, in the If You Want Kids to Cooperate book, he says control means to cause emotion by force, to exercise restraint or direction over the child, to dominate and command. That is not what we have in mind, I guess, when we are trying to get kids to do something. And what we need to do is gain cooperation from the child, which means having him operate in the same direction as you. And once again, the full definition for cooperation is having the child operate in the same direction you are. It involves working together in harmony, side by side, for common purpose or benefit. So I've used these definitions in both of my books, in the Revolting Child book and in the If You Want Kids to Cooperate book as well. So what we're wanting to do is gain cooperation, not docile, obedient people. So I feel very, very strongly about this because, as parents, and it is a bit of a generational thing, right, where we feel like we need to control our kids. And I know as a teacher, way back in the days, teachers used to talk about how well they controlled the classroom, how well they controlled the kids. Or if the kids weren't cooperating, teachers would say, I've lost control, or there is no control, or I can't control the kids. Whereas really we didn't want to be controlling them. We wanted to be gaining their cooperation. And of course, through the Nurtured Heart approach, through the 3 stands, it really is all about, you know, having the kids feel good about what they're doing and who they are as a person, and building up their inner wealth, their sense of their self-esteem, self-worth, self-love, self-respect. If we are, you know, wanting to gain control, and let's face it, who here has ever been controlled? Do you remember being controlled in your childhood by your parents? Do you remember ever being controlled by a teacher, an educator, or another adult of influence in your life? And if you did, I want you to think back to how that felt in your body. Did that actually feel good, or did it not feel good? Did it feel awful having somebody try to control you? Once again, I love these definitions. I'll keep going back. Control means to cause a motion by force, to exercise restraint or direction over the child, to dominate and command. That never feels good, right? It doesn't feel good as a child, and it definitely doesn't feel good. Sorry, it doesn't feel good as an adult, and it definitely doesn't feel good as a child. Cooperation seems to make a lot more sense, having the child operate in the same direction you are, working together in harmony side by side for a common purpose or benefit. And I know that, you know, there are many adults who could attest to feeling controlled in their adult relationships, you know, whether that be with their spouse or their partner, feeling controlled, being told what to do, when to do it, how to do it, how high to jump, as we say. And that never feels good, right? And sometimes people allow themselves to be controlled because they just don't have the self-worth or self-esteem or self-love or self-respect to say, no, I'm not going to do that. And I know in many workplaces there is a lot of control going on, you know, where people, and here's, isn't it interesting when we look at words like the word boss and superior, both have a really negative connotation. Like if we say, oh, my boss, you know, told me I had to do something. Well, who wants to be bossed around, even in the workplace? Now, I understand that there are levels of leadership in various organizations, but let's call it leadership instead of a superior, because nobody is superior to you. Like, we are equal. We all are the same. You know, there is no need for somebody to be bossing us around or being our superior. It's fine to have leadership, so it's fine to have leaders guiding us and gaining our cooperation, so working together to get the same result in the workplace and the same in the family. Some parents see themselves as, I'm the parent, I'm the boss, I'm the superior, I control what goes on here. And if that's your way of thinking, that's fine, that's where you're at. But think about how you feel being bossed around and controlled. And would it not be easier for you as a parent and for your children to gain cooperation? So how do we gain cooperation? We gain cooperation by acknowledging and recognizing our kids for the things they're doing well or moving towards doing well. So in the Nurtured Heart approach, we go back to the 3 stands. Stand 1 is absolutely no, not giving energy to what we don't want more of, what we don't want to grow. Once again, you wouldn't take your watering can with your nutrients in it and go out and water the weeds, because we don't want the weeds to grow. So the same with our relationships with our children. You have to actually look at what do you want to grow as opposed to what you don't want to grow. So do not water, give energy to, give relationship to what you don't want to grow. But then stand 2, absolutely yes, is coming in with beautiful connected energy and relationship for what you do want to grow. So recognizing even the small things. So if it's about gaining cooperation, acknowledge and recognize your child for when they are being cooperative, even if it's a baby step towards being more cooperative. They will respond a lot more positively if you are acknowledging them for being cooperative in the moment than seeing you trying to control them. I can guarantee that. And let's face it, we are all the same. We would all love to have people in our lives work in unison with us for the same goal, creating, cooperation rather than control. So I hope that has been helpful today. I think that, it's really, really important when we think about how we are relationshiping with people in our lives. And although this is, talking about parenting and the difference between control and cooperation, it really relates to all relationships. So if you are in a relationship and with an adult, so as in married or a romantic partner, or even in a relationship in a workplace as a leader or as a mentor in a workplace, just really remember that, go back to that old thing, treat people the way that you want to be treated. Nobody likes to be controlled. Nobody likes to be bossed around. If you want a job done, if you want a child or somebody in the workplace to get something done, gain their cooperation. If you are a person who is controlling or loves to control or does control, I would love to just encourage you to just rethink, what is the purpose for you being controlling? You want a result of some sort or an action to be taken. So would it not make more sense to work in unison with the person gaining cooperation rather than being bossy, controlling and demanding and outright obnoxious, right? Because nobody likes that, not in the workplace, not in personal relationships, not in parenting. So think about those two C words, control versus cooperation. If you are in a situation where you are being controlled, maybe you could go to that person and say, let's work on gaining cooperation rather than controlling. I probably will do much better in this situation if we're working together for a result that we both want by gaining cooperation and by acknowledging and recognizing each other for the things we're doing well. So that's it from me today. And I hope that you got something out of this, and I hope that you really think about the words that you use in your vocab, and particularly, I've lost my page now, but the definitions that Frank shared with us, like slavery, it's expecting obedience, control, causing emotion by force. He's got some really, really good ones. Restraint means the use of strong force or authority in preventing action. Harass means to trouble by repeated attacks. Resent means to show displeasure. Impatience, this is a good one. Impatience means you're not worth waiting for. So some great definitions in here. If you haven't read this book yet, The Revolting Child, you can download it for free at parentsupportnetwork.com.au. So you can see the link up the top there. You can go to that link and you can actually download this for free and read all about the definitions that Frank taught us in the latter part of the book. So that's it from me today. Until next week, thank you for tuning in to episode 11, and I look forward to catching you next week. Bye for now.